Hello YouTube, Lethal Weapon 5 here, bringing a review of the Kimber Tactical Entry 2. This is a 3-year review. I've owned this gun for 3 years and a few months now. I'm going to be talking about my experience with it, my history with it, and recommending it for you if you are interested in purchasing this gun or looking into possibly getting a Kimber that is similar to this one. First off, I'm going to go into the track record. With the 1911, this was my first 1911, so therefore being my first 1911, I wrote down every time I went to the range and every issue I had or anything that happened at the range, I wrote it down. So the first one was I shot at 8/15/15. That's when I purchased the gun around that time, maybe a day or two before the 15th. Shot 230 grains of Winchester, 125 rounds. On that shoot, I had 2 magazine malfunctions, and one was a bad full metal jacket. Then I went shooting again on 9/17/2015. 140 rounds shot, 2 magazine failures, and the 2 jams were with Winchester. I was gonna from there look at American Eagle to shoot for my next shooting because I discovered that this gun right here does not like Winchester white box, which turned out to be true when I went shooting the next time. Went shooting 1/15/2016, 63 rounds, 2 jams, Federal, and 1 jam Winchester. So I had 1 Federal round that jammed and 1 Winchester round that jammed. And was practicing my some carry ammo I had this acquired. It was the HSTs, and they all fired through fine. And also Zombie Max. I was testing that as well, and it loved the Zombie Max. I guess because of the brass casings, I think is why I probably liked it better than some of the other ones I've been trying. And also, I later on found out that a lot of these jams I was having as I was shooting was coming from the slide stop. This is not the slide stop that originally comes with the Kimber. The one that actually comes with the Kimber from the Kimber factory was the part in here that kicks up to lock the slide back was too long. And they say that you're supposed to shoot so many rounds through it and break it in, or take some sandpaper, or even if you contact Kimber, they'll send you a new one. And at the time, 2015, 2016, I was trying to get in touch with Kimber. At the day I tried, for some reason I couldn't get in touch with them. I sent them an email, and for whatever that year, they got back to me. And by the time they got back to me, I've already purchased this Wilson Combat Bulletproof slide stop with a little indention in it that's supposed to help with the slide, causing premature slide, the slide from locking back while you're shooting on the last round. And ever since I put that in, I haven't had no more problems with the slide stop when you're shooting the last round on the mag. So that was one issue I had with the gun, and I'm not going into a little more detail. I just want to get this out of the way, so you know the track record and the history when I'm talking. Went shooting again, 3/6/16, 45 rounds, 1 jam from touching the slide because I was practicing reloads. Shot to the gun was empty, slide locked back, dropped the mag, loaded a new mag in as quick as I could, and I was going so fast that I was going faster than the gun could keep up with me. Went shooting again, 3/12/2016, 93 rounds I shot. Some was Remington and some was Winchester 230 grain. I had 2 magazines that had feeding issues back to back. Then later on, when I got home that night and cleaned the guns and checked them, inserted the magazine in the gun, pulled the slide back, see if the slide would lock back, I found out that the springs were weak. They could not lock the slide back. And those were, at the time, there was not, I've used the Wilson since then, but at the time that I was had this gun and was shooting it, I was using the Chip McCormick magazines. And I've actually, before that, I replaced the springs and they went bad again. So they did not last more than a year. With the shooting and the carrying it every day, the Chip McCormicks, I mean, some people had good luck with them. For me, they lasted me about a year. Then I changed the springs out, and the same thing happened. I even changed the springs out to Wilson springs, and even with the Wilson springs and the Chip McCormicks, it still went bad after a year. For some reason, I don't know if it's the way the magazine's designed or whatever on the Chip McCormicks, but for me, every year, whether it's their springs or any springs you put in it, it was going bad on me. It may have been from using it from a continuous use of a year's time. Like I said, I got Wilson Combats now, and I haven't had to replace the springs in these yet. And that's probably from, I want to say 2016 to now that I haven't had any issues with these magazines. And speaking of the Wilson Combat magazines, I just acquired the new 10-round mag, which Wilson, I believe, and Chip McCormick have become one company now. I don't know who bought out who or if it was an agreement that they both made, but they're new 10-round mags that are inspired by the Chip McCormick design a little bit. Awesome. I love it. I also love the EMT mags. Great magazines. Highly recommended if you have a 1911. I encourage you to get one of these magazines, the 10 round or the 8 rounds. They can have the thing on the bottom where you can tell you which mag is which. On the Chip McCormick's, I didn't have them labeled, so when they were acting up, I didn't know which one was bad. So I had to go through testing periodically through when I first discovered the springs were bad before I figured out, before I did the slide lock back, before I discovered through that issue. And then pretty much the gun ran fine after that, after I replaced those magazines. Went shooting again 3/17/2018, 58 rounds. 8 rounds Winchester, 50 rounds Federal. And that was this year. Earlier this year, I was having 5 or 7 double feeds or failure to loads. Went shooting 3/18/18, 50 rounds Aquila ammo. I hope I said that right. Again, 5 or 7 failures to load. And that was out of a box of 50 rounds. And that was twice now. I had a box of 50 rounds. Went home, and then I tested the, as you can see, it's cleared. I tested the extractor right here. I tested the extractor. Found out that it was at, I believe, I want to say 18 or 19 pounds pull, where my extractor tester I had for my 1911s, it was pulling right at 18 or 19. So the extractor tension had severely went down. And like I said, I've been carrying it for 3 years, loading it every day. So that that probably had a big part of the extractor tension being so low. I also believe Kimbers from the factory. I hear a lot about the extractors not being tuned like they should be, them rushing them to get them out. So they don't tune them like they should. So they come from the factory probably not where they need to be at. So if you have a Kimber and you have issues, I would highly suggest and recommend you check the extractor if you're able. There's ways to do it if you don't have a tool. But check it and see where it's at. Because if you're having issues after you've had it for a little while, that may be the issue. The extractor needs to be tuned. I also love these grips that come with this particular Kimber, this wood grain. My holster is actually, if you look here, you can see the holster has the color of the dye of the holster started to rub off on the hand, or the wood grips. Also replaced this screw right here with the mag release screw with a flat head screw. I plan to also change the ones on the handguards. These handguard screws take a T9 screw to take them off, and I'm not a big fan of that. I like the flathead. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to find a flathead tool to do it with. Full length guy rod on this gun. Go to talking a little bit over it. Night sights. All right. So then on 4/10/2018, I did a gun tune-up. It replaced all springs. Extractor test. Oh, 4/10/18 is when I did the initial, checked it. Extractor test failed. Need to tune extractor and replace all springs. Gun needed a tune-up. That's when I discovered it was on 4/18. Sorry, 4/10/2018 is when I discovered that it had all these issues. I then went ahead and, me personally, I like, if you see my other videos, you know I like to tinker with my guns. I like to mess with them. I think of them as cars, in a sense, that cars need oil change, car needs new spark plugs, car needs new tires. Same thing with this gun. So I bought this gun used and carried it for 3 years. Has a used gun. Y'all just hang on a minute. I'm going to drop the slide, so just bear with me. Alright, sorry about that. So now I explained a little bit about the history. Let me look and see if there's anything else I forgot that I need to mention for this review, or in particular. Let's say I did the test fire on 4/21, 5/26/2018. I did 50 rounds American Eagle, 2 rounds Federal HST. This for testing purposes. No malfunctions. So after I did everything on this gun, it worked flawlessly. But tune-up basically. What I did to it, I replaced the recoil spring. It was weak. Like I said, that's probably from 3 years. I load a round in the chamber every day, empty the round every day, and then I do I change up my. Right now I'm carrying the Federal HST bullets, so I chamber one of them every day, take it out, put the bottom of the magazine, and do the same thing over and over again. By the time I get to the bottom of the magazine, and also I rotate these magazines. I rotate through, as you can see, I have, I think, 6 altogether right now. So the 6, I rotate 3 every month or every 30 days, to try to let the springs breathe a little bit. But I'll load a bullet. Like I said, I'll chamber one load, chamber one load, chamber one load. And by the time I get to the top again, I'll either change out magazines for the new month, or depending on how many times I load the bullet. If it's been 3 months, 6 months to a year, I'll go ahead and get rid of this ammo and get another box of Federal HSTs. But anyway, let's see. So I as far as the tune-up goes, getting back on that, replace the recoil spring, replace the firing pin spring, replace the mag catch, or the little spring right here in the mag release. Also replace the spring in the hammer spring. I replaced it. And on this gun, the Kimber Tactical Entry 2, this is not a polymer or a plastic. It is a metal piece. It is not polymer or plastic. So I know on some Kimbers they give you a NIM part on the housing here. It is not a NIM part. It is all metal. Because I was worried when I was taking it apart that if it was plastic or a NIM part that it would break. And once I got open and discovered that it was metal. The gun is stainless top, stainless bottom. With their and you can look at the Kimber website. They give you all the specs and the details and the weights. This is a heavy gun, and it helps with the heaviness. Does help manage the recoil of the 45 bullet when you're shooting it. Which, if you're a 1911 guy, you already know all this. You know about railed and probably not railed models. For those out there that are interested about 1911s and want a little bit of information about them, that's just something for you to know. The railed ones, not only does it give you the cool factor and does hold a light, it also helps manage the recoil and keep the gun down when you're shooting. As you can tell from the gun, the paint job, there is a lot of wear on it. There is. Let's see if I can get the marks on here. You see some of the marks on it. on the Kimber logo. And I'm going to go ahead and point the gun, but the gun is clear, and as you can see, there's a scratch on the bushing from putting it against the wall and doing it one-handed testing. So that's some stuff I need to clean my barrel out. I didn't realize I must have got some little stuff in the barrel when I was carrying earlier. Need to run some through it real quick. Beautiful tactical entry 2, letters on the gun. I keep it oiled. Love the being able to change the magazines. This feed sheet right here makes it extremely easy and fast to do mag changes. The trigger is when I tested it was 4.5 pounds. So extremely great trigger. It's the same trigger pull. Well, it's the same pounds as my Glock. My Glock 22 is also 4.5 pounds. So it's the same. This one is a lot crisper, and this feels a lot better. 1911s is like breaking glass when you pull a trigger on a 1911. And I have one hand, so you have to forgive me. Let's see. Retail on this gun, I just saw it at my local gun shop, was $12.50. Now, when I purchased this gun, I purchased it used. I did a trade through Facebook Messenger. At the time, you could sell guns through Facebook. You can't do it now, as the filming of this video, 2018. But back in 2015, you was able to sell guns on. I don't know, some of you may remember this or not, but you was able to sell guns on Facebook. Unfortunately, Facebook decided to change that and to close that for whatever reason, their political reasons, whatever it is. I'm not going to get into it. A lot of social media sites, even YouTube nowadays, is they're changing everything now, and it's hard to stay with the times and stay politically correct with all that stuff. So I'm not going to get into all of that. Just the times we live in, folks. The times we live in. But I traded a AR-15 that I built, my first AR-15. It was a Delton kit with a double star lower. I put a lot of rounds through it. I had a LaRue Tactical 6-inch rail on it. Aerotech 5.52, which had the night vision. 3 magazines. Not the high-end Magpul magazines, it's the GI mags. About 200 rounds of mixed ammunition, hollow points, full metal jackets, and a Surefire Combat Light with LaRue mount, and then some rubber things that I had on the mount. They were probably cheap. I think they were leapers. Let's see, other than leapers, I'm trying to think, did I have anything else on it? I had a Troy back sight, and it had the A2 front sight. So it was probably about, I want to say altogether it's worth, and consider how many rounds I put through the gun, the kit was probably, when I put together, about $500. The Aerotech was about $530, $520. The light was $100. The rail was about $180. I want to say I had probably close to, with the ammo and everything, of course, all of it being used, heavily used, because I shot that gun to be my first rifle. I put a lot of rounds through it, shot it very heavily, and I want to say the value put into it is probably about $1,800. It being used and everything I put into it is probably more used resale value. I'd probably say right around 15, 14, somewhere around there. And on the Kimber website, like I said, the retail price for this gun is $14.99. So it'd be, like I said, in my mind, and from the way I see it, I came out actually pretty good. Now, when I got this gun, I don't know if the person that sold it because it had issues, or if he's just trying to get something else. Me personally, I got a good deal. Yes, it had the issues with the slide stop. Replaced the slide stop. Then I found out later that the extractor wasn't tuned, and it may not came from the factory that way. It may have been that the previous owner put a lot of rounds through it, and then I carried it for 3 years and chambered it every day, so therefore putting a lot of rounds, loading and ejecting the rounds. You know, it could have been a combination of all of those, or it could have been a combination of one of those. But I mean, it's been a roller coaster with this gun. As of filming of this video, 2018, after the tune-up, this thing is 100% reliable. Bet my life on it. It was reliable when I was carrying it. Like I said, it had some issues here and there, little hiccups. Not enough that I worried about it. If I got into a situation this year when I had the 5 to 7 mag problems back to back, the last 2 times I went shooting, I knew something was up, so I went ahead and did the tune-up, which I'd planned on doing anyway. Let's see. I guess I'm going to give a shout out here to, this is pretty much what I carry every day on the table. You know, mace, always good to have that. And I may do a carry video later on. I'm about to switch to the Springfield TRP. If you look at my previous videos, you can see my unboxing of that and me talking about that a little bit. It is long. This video is actually getting pretty long, so I need to go ahead and wrap it up. I do want to give a shout out here. I got this holster off eBay, and I'd never seen this holster before. This is a Grant's leather holster. I got it off eBay for $50 or $56, and I'm going to do a review on this and talk about it a little bit more. So tune in for that. That'll be my next review. As you can see, it's got a lot of wear on it. I've had this holster since I had the gun, so this is a 3-year holster, and pretty good little holster. I'll go into more detail about that. I don't tell you too much right now. Alright, I guess that's it. Like I said, I carry the Federal HSTs. I also carry the Zombie Max. I know there could be a legal issue with it saying Zombie Max, but those brass casings, my Kimber loves those brass casings. In closing, would I recommend a Kimber? I know for this Kimber, me personally, yes, I recommend it. It had some issues when I got it, but I also got it used. I did not get it brand new. From my experience with Kimbers, I had some people, some friends of mine that have Kimbers, and they had no issues with their Kimbers. I think Kimbers is kind of hit and miss, and I think a lot of it, like I said, is really to do with just they rush the gun, or it may have extractor tuning issues, whatever it may be. But I highly recommend Kimber. There are better gun manufacturers out there, but with Kimber, you're getting a decent gun for what you're paying. Like I said, if you have issues, you know, sell it. If you can't find somebody to repair it, if you can't find a way to fix it, then I mean, I understand you selling it or getting rid of it. But if you can find a way to fix it, these guns are great little guns. Well, not little. This one's a full size, but they make great little guns. Anyway, thanks for tuning in and watching this video, watching this review. Tune in for my future reviews. Like I said, I have a review of the Grant's holster coming up. Have a shooting video I'm going to make where I take the Springfield TRP out and first shots with it. I don't know, I want to say first 100, 200 rounds I'm probably going to put through it, and some hollow points. This is some testing of ammunition. I don't know how much shooting we'll actually do with the video. I'll try to get as much as I can, but tune in for that. Thank you for watching this video.